Have you ever stopped to think about why we connect so deeply with characters who are, on the surface, the exact opposite of a traditional hero? No magic sword doesn't lead armies, doesn't ride dragons. But when Tyrion Lannister raises that wine glass and says, "With all the calm in the world I drink and I know things," something happens inside us. One phrase, 5 words, and suddenly you understand everything about that man. Close your eyes for a second. Imagine being born into a family where your own father looks at you like you re a stain on the family legacy, where your arrival into the world cost the life of the only person who might have loved you unconditionally, where your brother is literally called the most beautiful knight in the 7 kingdoms, and you're the dwarf, the demon monkey, the monster who killed his mother. How do you survive that? Tyrion found an answer that many people overlook. He turned knowledge into armor. There's a scene at the beginning of the series that defines everything. Jon Snow, the bastard of Winterfell, asks why Tyrion reads so much, and the answer comes sharp as an arrow. A mind needs books like a sword needs a weapon. Do you understand what he's saying there? In a world where birth defines destiny, where size defines worth, where appearance defines respect, Tyrion decided he was going to play a different game. If he couldn't compete on the traditional battlefield, he would dominate the field that no one could take from him, the field of ideas. And this is where things get interesting for us, because look, how many times have you felt at a disadvantage? How many times have you looked around and seen people with more resources, more connections, more advantages? How many times has the world told you, in subtle ways, or not so subtle at all, that you didn't belong there? Tyrion lived that from his first breath, and his response wasn't to grow bitter. It wasn't to give up. It was to adapt. Never forget what you are. The rest of the world will not. Wear it like armor, and it can never be used to hurt you. That advice he gives Jon Snow in the first episode, it's not just pretty dialogue, it's survival philosophy distilled into 2 sentences. But let's talk about the wine, because it would be easy to look at Tyrion and see just the stereotype of the witty drunk, the comic relief who cracks jokes between bloody battles, and yes, he's funny, devastatingly funny at times. But Tyrion's wine isn't just wine. It's a defense mechanism. It's a social mask. It's the way he found to soften the sharp edges of an existence that would be unbearable if faced with complete sobriety. Think about it with me. This man was accused of killing his own nephew, was sentenced to death by his own father, discovered that the woman he loved was actually a prostitute paid by his brother to pretend she liked him, killed his father sitting on a toilet, killed his ex-lover with his old hands. Every glass of wine carries the weight of memories that most of us couldn't bear. And still, he knows things. That's what makes the phrase so powerful. It's not empty arrogance. It's the statement of someone who transformed trauma into knowledge, rejection into observation, loneliness into deep study of human nature. Tyrion understands people because he spent his entire life being underestimated by them. When no one considers you a threat, you become invisible. And invisible people see things that others don't notice. He knows that Cersei is driven by fear disguised as pride, knows that Jaime carries enough guilt to sink a ship, knows that Daenerys has greatness, but also has too much fire running through her veins, knows that Jon Snow is too honorable for his own good. Knowing things, in his case, means understanding motivations, predicting reactions, anticipating moves on a board where one wrong piece costs heads. Literally. And here's something you might not have noticed about this iconic phrase. It comes at a specific moment. Missandei, Daenerys' translator, asks Tyrion what he does, what he offers. What's his usefulness in a group full of warriors and conquerors? The question is legitimate. In a world of dragons and Valyrian steel swords, what does a dwarf without combat skills bring to the table? And Tyrion, with that half smile that's his trademark, sums up his entire existence in 5 words. I drink and I know things. It's not false modesty. It's not an empty joke. It's the most honest truth he could offer. Because drinking, for Tyrion, is surviving. It's enduring. It's processing a world that never wanted his presence. And knowing things, that's power. The only kind of power that someone like him managed to conquer in a system built to exclude him. There's a sad beauty in that, isn't there? The most intelligent man in Westeros reducing his own contribution to 2 apparently simple activities. But we know it's not simple. We know what it cost him to accumulate that knowledge. How many humiliations he swallowed. How many closed doors he faced. How many times he had to prove his worth to people who had already decided he had none. And maybe that's why the phrase resonated so much. Because deep down, many people feel the same way. Carrying knowledge that the world doesn't value, offering contributions that go unnoticed. Surviving through mechanisms that others judge without understanding. Tyrion gives us permission to exist on our own terms. You don't need to be the hero in shining armor. You don't need to lead the charge. You don't need to fit the mold they drew for you before you were even born. Sometimes, your unique contribution to the world is simply knowing things, understanding, observing, connecting dots that others can't see. And if you need a glass of wine to endure the process, well, who are we to judge? Peter Dinklage, the actor who brought Tyrion to life for 8 seasons, once said that playing this character changed the way he saw himself. A man of short stature in Hollywood, an industry obsessed with physical standards, found in a fictional character the validation that the real world had so often denied. Art imitating life, imitating art, and at the end of the day, maybe that's what great characters do. They show us versions of ourselves we didn't know existed. Possibilities we hadn't considered. Ways of existing that defy the boxers where they tried to put us. Tyrion drinks because life is too hard to face sober all the time. Tyrion knows things because he decided that knowledge was the only currency no one could take from him. And us, we see ourselves in him because, deep down, everyone has felt too small for a world that's too big. The difference is what you do with that feeling. So tell me something. What is the knowledge you carry? The one that the world hasn't yet learned to value.